I was trying to get Band-Aid to start the show. I guess he's a little camera shy this morning. Hey, Band-Aid, come here. There we go.
Oh, my kid's not feeling very well this morning.
Oh, what's wrong?
I don't know, he's throwing up and he's like really lethargic. And so if he's still like this tomorrow, I might have to take him to the vet. But he's still purring and he's still sweet and everything. It's just he's not excited about his treats. He's not excited to go outside. I don't know. Anyway.
Hey, well, welcome back to the Ethan and Jenna Show. Feel free to leave a comment anytime we get distracted by a scroll or shiny object
or cats
across the screen. Each and every week we tackle mental health and another topic, and today's is mental health and money. And if you would like to talk about it or give some feedback from your own personal experience, call the number at the bottom of the screen, 708-554-7836, or the easiest way to remember that number is 708-5-LISTEN, because that's why we're here. Call us. We listen. That's the tagline for the show. Most importantly, please remember, we are not mental health professionals. We cannot give you advice on anything except based on our own personal experience. Mainly, we are here to give you a platform to share your experiences, and hopefully other people will enjoy hearing what you have to say.
Yes.
Or feel more like you're not alone, and we should all be able to talk about our problems publicly when we feel safe.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, is that I feel like there's just so many parts of these issues that people are just unaware of, and so if we if we're just sharing people's experiences, and people are calling and sharing their experiences, we can, maybe somebody can watch this and get some kind of passion under their belt and go and fix something,
right. Because additionally, like there are people like myself, I held back from becoming an atheist YouTuber because, one, I didn't know enough, and two, I'm like, well, I don't know philosophy and science and the Bible, so I guess I can't do it. No, you can do it. You can talk about anything you want. You could do movie reviews, video game reviews, slap an atheist name on it and help us normalize and bring more awareness to atheism.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, crucial, and something our community is only now starting to talk about more. We need to be open about our mental health, and most importantly, people who don't have religion need somewhere to fall, need people to talk to, and that's why we're here.
Yeah. And actually, so the topic today, mental health and money, we brought it up as a topic just because we know we know generally that that's something that people struggle with. But then after doing a little bit of research, we found that there's a lot of resources out there for people. And so I'm going to share. So far, I found this one site I really like. I'm sharing that in the chat right now. It's mind.org.uk, and it's got some links and ideas for what people can do when they're struggling with money. Because Ethan, so it's funny, Ethan and I got on the back behind the scenes or whatever, and he was like, so did you know that, what did you say?
People who are in debt are 3 times more likely to have a debilitating mental condition or debilitating mental health.
And do you know where you found that statistic?
I should have, but I don't have it handy. I apologize.
Okay, that's okay. Well, I found that same statistic on a site called moneyandmentalhealth.org. And that says not only but it also says 1 in 5 people with mental health problems are in problem debt. People who are experiencing mental health problems are 3.5 times more likely to be in a problem debt than people without mental health. And 46% of people in problem debt also have a mental health problem.
Well, it's just an endless cycle, because you get, you have financial issues, screws up your mental health. Then your mental health goes down. You're going to struggle to get to work or do things to help get yourself out of the situation. So you end up in a worse financial situation. It's just a never-ending cycle. Man, I've actually become, not to go too far off topic, but semi frustrated with how unwilling people are to have certain conversations around helping people in need. Like, call me crazy, but I think poor people should get vacations too. Like, they shouldn't have to work every day endlessly for the rest of their lives just to eat and pay bills.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I don't, maybe I'm crazy for thinking this, but I don't think one person should have $1 billion in their bank while other people are literally starving to death and their mental health or mental state is just going to shit. Like, we could do much better than what we're doing. But that's a topic for another day.
Well, I mean, that it's valid and it's appropriate, you know, because that's what we're learning, I think. I don't know how you describe it, that this time period, we are discovering the off balance of money in this, at least in this country. And I'm sure, actually, I'm sure it's some others, but I don't know all of them, obviously. But anyways, you know, to the people being resistant, you know, these people probably just care and probably want us to be careful, probably don't want anybody to get hurt, which I understand.
Right.
And the problem is that there are only so many therapists. And there are only so many therapists that take insurance. And there are only so many people with insurance. So when it costs, for my therapist, I have finally found one that works. That's the other thing, is that so many of them don't, you know, people aren't compatible sometimes. So you have to kind of trial and error sometimes and shop around and find a good therapist that actually helps you. And the one that I found doesn't take insurance, which I understand. Again, I know a little bit about how that works between them, which they don't get a lot of. Anyway, she's $200 a session. Right? I mean, granted, you needed her once a month for like 9 months. But still, that's a lot of money. And I needed her more than that. You know, it would have been very helpful if I could see her more than just once a month. And so while we are not mental health professionals, I am getting a fire under my butt to become one. And until we get there, we are making it very clear that we are peers who care. We are peers who want to expose shit that people don't think about unless you put it in front of their face. You know, because so many people just get so monotonous day to day, just struggling and just I'll just get by. Well, if we slow down and try to examine what's going on and we share our problems and we share perspectives and share ideas for solutions, well, then maybe something can happen, something can change, something can improve. So yeah, we're not teaching people anything. We're just airing out the laundry.
Yes. And one of the things that's definitely like, because there are times I've questioned, like, am I supposed to be doing mental health with the limited knowledge that I have? And to me, yes. And Jenna and I have been fortunate. You know, we've had two organizations express interest in making our podcast like their podcast, and which is awesome and makes me feel like we really are making a difference, or we're at least trying to make a difference. Because most people have, sorry, I can't say most people, a lot of people have mental health issues, and we need to talk about it more.
Yeah.
Ooh, have we done mental health and pets?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if it was mental health in cats or mental health in pets, but I'm pretty sure we have.
Well, it might as well have been cats, since cats are the official mascot of the atheist community.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah.
By the way, thanks for everyone tuning in the comments. If you're watching on Facebook, it would help us out tremendously if you switched from Facebook over to YouTube. That's where all the comments are happening. There is a link in the description of that Facebook video. Click it, and you'll get to join everyone on YouTube.
Before you go, share it.
Yeah, sharing it makes a difference. And, you know, one thing we should do real quick while it's on my mind is thank our patrons, Kenneth, Leonard, Expresso Cat, Doanya, Kaitlyn Beyond, and Rachel Watson. Also, Kaitlyn is our lovely call screener and YFNA moderator. She is awesome, and we both really appreciate your help.
Yes, we do.
And if you would like to become a patron, consider becoming one for as low as $1 a month. Link in the description. And then there was one more thing I was going to say. Crap. It just went right out of my head.
That's okay. When tiny ants run across the screen.
Yes. Okay, so Jenna, how does money impact your mental health?
Oh my God.
Or where is your mental state currently as a result of, finances?
Interesting you ask. I hate money. To be clear, I hate money. I hate how necessary it is and how hard it is to get. And so I grew up one of 7 kids. We didn't have a whole lot of money. We had one working parent. And so we didn't have a lot, a lot of hand-me-downs and stuff. And so I'm at the point in my life where I'm having to control my own spending, and it's difficult. It's difficult not to impulse buy, especially with how easy it is on Amazon these days.
Yes.
It's just I've had to put it in a separate group of a separate page on my phone so that it's takes longer to get to. Because I've been very open about our financial situation. We don't have a lot of money right now. I still don't have a job since COVID took mine about 7 months ago. Go ahead.
And to touch base on what Jenna is saying, I know you may think okay, Jenna, famous YouTuber, gotta have money. No, just being popular on YouTube does not mean you have money. And what Jenna and I do does actually cost us money. If I right now lost my full-time job, I would no longer have the ability to have any call-in shows because each week it costs money to have these lines open. So when I was thinking about that, I was like, holy shit, my full-time job is now even more important because without that, my shows would be limited, our shows, and that would really suck. So,
and not only that, but the other things that cost money is you have to have high-speed internet. You have to have really good internet to stream. You have to be able to fix your equipment when something breaks or replace it.
Spare equipment, which I still don't have. I'm doing what I can as I can. But for me, finances has been many years ago, I started a business because I didn't want to work for anybody else. And said business made me a lot of money, made me well more than financially comfortable. But due to my medical issues and not really being able to have that business operate without me, which was a mistake on my part, and epilepsy, I ended up losing everything. My business went to shit. And I was in a position where I would have been set. And that 401k, everything I had gone. And I have medical debt now. And it's just going from having everything figured out to not having everything is just it's very different because I used to be able to impulse buy. It was I had less to worry about. And now it's you go back to having to work for somebody and it sucks. It's stressful. And I do to be blunt, I do want to get to a point where I could just do YouTube full time. And that's why one of the reasons I work hard because I want, dude, if all the shows I'm doing right now are with me having a full-time job. Imagine if I could put all my effort and energy into YouTube. And there's just a lot I want to do. But it sucks because especially when I look around at certain, not to get too political, but right-leaning people who just don't want to help others. I want to look at them and be like, dude, did I deserve this to happen? Are you really saying I'm not worthy of some kind of help? I deserve to end up in this financially shitty situation as a result of medical issues?
Well, and it's like, that's the other, according to, talking on the topic of medical issues, I went to the doctor. I lost my job, and a month later found out I was pregnant. And so Ethan and some other wonderful people started to GoFundMe, which was amazing, because I also, I didn't have health insurance. And so the bill that I got from the OB, oh my God, they handed me this bill and said, okay, you just have to pay it off 3 months before the due date, which it was like 5 months before the due date at the time when I finally got to see a doctor, because also they won't schedule an appointment with you until you have insurance.
Oh my God.
So it was like 5 months. I went to a community care clinic, luckily. But with an official OB, I could not schedule anything without insurance. So it was 5 months. They handed me this bill, said you have to pay it off 3 months before the due date. And it was over $2,000. And I'm like, are you kidding? Are you joking? Right? They're just like so casual about it. Like, so you have to just have thousands of dollars just sitting in the bank to have a kid.
Yeah. Like they cost, I mean, you need to have like money in the bank just for any type of medical issue, because even with insurance, we are paying astronomical amounts of money. To give you an example, Jenna, you may recall last summer, I ran into some mental health issues. It was something I had never experienced before, to the point that like I was crying and shaking. And I ended up figuring the best thing to do is I needed to turn myself in because it was getting bad. And I went to, a hospital, which I shouldn't have done. And I asked if I could speak to them, and they said yes. And I explained that I know the difference between thoughts and actions, and I'm just sharing my thoughts. And within a few seconds of opening my mouth, they had grabbed my backpack, my phone, they locked down the medicine cabinet, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I knew I was like done right then and there. I ended up getting locked in a facility for a few days. And it was a hellish traumatic experience, which I could talked about before, but I end up a month later getting a $5,000 bill. That's with insurance, $5,000 for 2.5 days.
Involuntary.
Involuntary. And the worst part, when I got there, I was like, after they shipped me to the mental health facility, they handed me a piece of paper. They're like, are you voluntary or involuntary? I'm like, dude, I didn't agree to this. I'm like, I don't want to be here. They're like, okay, so you're involuntary and you'll be here on a 5-day hold if you don't sign voluntary. So you're literally forced to sign voluntary so you don't get stuck in there for 5 days.
That's bullshit.
It is.
And they slapped
me with a big bill as a result. Our medical health system is garbage.
Yeah. When I found out I was an alcoholic, I had insurance at the time even. And I realized right away. So I got a PI, had to go to AA, went to AA. The first meeting, I was like, oh my God, I am an alcoholic. I couldn't believe it. Shocked me. But I was like, I realized now, I've tried to quit so many times on my own. I can't. I know I need to go to rehab. So I called a rehab. I qualified, and in order to go, I had to pay my full deductible, which was a few $1,000s, in order to go. And I only got to go for 2 weeks because I was only that bad. Like I wasn't bad enough to stay the full month and get the full load of information that they provided me with, which was immensely enlightening, incredibly helpful. I really wanted to know what I could have learned those last 2 weeks, but I didn't get it because I wasn't bad enough. But I was bad enough to go. That's the halftime. But you have to pay the full deductible. And just the whole way that the deductibles work. Oh my God, yeah. So give us like $500-$600 a month for a couple at least, right? For health insurance. And oh, by the way, you want to use the health insurance?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
going to cost you.
Now let's add some more. Oh, and with my health insurance. So now we have health insurance as of January 1st. Okay. So that's a huge bill on top of not having the job still every month, which that GoFundMe pretty much went to. It's gone now. But on top of that, I have insurance now. And I found out after my first ultrasound that my insurance decided that I only needed to pay $750 of it for one ultrasound. So
whoa,
that's with insurance. And so I'm asking the doctor, I'm like, why don't they tell you this beforehand? Why don't they tell you how much it costs before you get the ultrasound? Because I would have opted out. I would have said thanks, but no thanks. But apparently they don't know how much it costs because it depends on your insurance. So what they do is they just say, okay, go get the ultrasound. You go get it. Then they send the bill to the insurance. Then the insurance looks at it and says, okay, well, you know what? I think we'll charge this. And then they bill the doctor. And then then they bill you. $750 for one ultrasound. And now I found out I have to get another one at 36 weeks to make sure that he's not breached, to make sure there's enough amniotic fluid. I have to get another one. So it's another $750 bill I'm going to have to pay just to make sure that I have a healthy pregnancy.
Well, and it's unfortunately not just, health insurance, there's other kind of insurances. Like I've always found it asinine that you have to pay for insurance monthly, but then if you get in an accident, you have to pay to use the insurance.
So much more. It goes up.
People not see the ridiculousness of this. And at times you're like, I just one time I hit this person's car and it was for like $400 in damage. And I'm like, do I use my insurance and have to pay $500 and have it go on my record? Or do I just pay cash out of pocket?
Half the time you end up I've gone with broken cars because I'm like, I can't afford to fix it. And I can't afford my insurance to go up. So I've run around with no bumper. Yeah.
Yep. Jenna, we have a caller.
Yay!
Might be it's still under mental health. So Rick, you are on with Ethan and Jenna. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing excellent today. How are you all doing?
Doing well.
Really good.
Thanks for calling.
I was going to tell you I enjoyed the show. I've seen Jenna on with Matt Dillahunty before. And just let me preface my comment by I'm a former conservative, was once a conservative Republican, and really was bought into everything that was on Fox News.
Oh, we were too.
And Sean Hannity had his signed books. And then I started doing my own research, and I found out that I'd been lied to the whole time. So
yes.
Also a person that was a former Catholic that is now pretty much atheist. So and then I know that I have a lot of people there. So, but what I was wanting to talk about, and I can comment on what you guys were just discussing there too, because it kind of ties in. And from a mental health perspective, I'm from Appalachia, and I also work for a Fortune 50 pharmaceutical company. Okay, as a pharmacologist. Wow. And from a mental health perspective, and the drug problem I'm from West Virginia, and you would be. I've seen the spiraling downward of what's happened in just this small town that I live in, because our town might have 25,000 people, okay? It's not that big. And where I never saw people walking down the street that looked like that they were on meth or looked like that they were on heroin. I see it every day now. And a good deal of them are folks that are trying to self-medicate and try to manage. It could be schizophrenia, it could be some sort of psychosis, and or the drugs are also causing some sort of schizophrenia or also some sort of psychosis. And it's a self-feeding problem that also comes back into what you guys were just discussing, which is why I cannot fathom with a country that has as much money as the United States has, that we do not have universal health care for the entire population.
Yep.
Absolutely universal. My daughter and her husband, they're 31, 33 years old, and they had to pay several $1,000s, like $13,000 out of pocket, because he had ulcerative colitis and had to have colonoscopies, and that fit underneath a deductible, and none of that makes any sense. So the drug problem, and the insurance problem, and a lot of this stuff is all part of these underlying issues of where we don't have access to affordable health care. And by affordable, we should be paying zero. That is my personal opinion.
Agreed.
And I know intimately the problems that you two are describing, because I work with physicians every single day on trying to get things through on formularies, on insurance plans. It's crazy.
Well, from what you brought up too, we haven't even brought up prescriptions yet.
Oh yeah, no. But I'm just saying, you're talking about your procedure for your ultrasound.
Oh yeah.
I would have said, well, I don't need that $750 to come out.
Right.
And through my employer, I still pay some sort of deductible, but it's extremely small. And I hear people every single day saying, I've got to pay this $750 or this $2,000. And if I had to do that, I would be like, wait a minute, this is bullshit. So, to your all's point, we need to have that affordable health care, and mental health needs to be part of that. So those were my points, and I just wanted to say that you guys do a great job. You're wonderful hosts.
Thank you.
I subscribe to the channel, and I will pass along, your channels to other people I know.
Thank you so much.
Very nice of you. I really, really appreciate that very much.
I appreciate your perspective too, because we appreciate perspectives, especially from people that are working in the health industry somewhere. So, thank you.
Yes, and I'll be one of the few people that in my industry that you'll meet that in fact, some people laugh because they call me, the liberal, pharmaceutical, rep in the industry. So, but I'm looking. The way I look at it is, if we're not all out for each other and we're just all for ourselves, it will lead to nothing but demise.
Right.
Yeah.
Like our country or civilization gets better when we lend a hand and start caring about the other person's needs. Like for me, if someone told me right now, hey, you're going to have to pay an extra 10% in taxes, but everyone's going to have insurance. Cool. You could tell me 20%. Yeah, I don't want to technically give up more money, but I'm going to if the entire country can get the medical and mental support they need.
I can't imagine what that would look like for the whole country to have health. Like, I can't even imagine that.
Probably because, unfortunately, this is a sore topic for me. So it's just far right-leaning people or right-leaning people in general. They don't get it. And I know I didn't get it. And that's why it's frustrating to me, because it's being opposed to universal healthcare is, in my opinion, an extremely selfish position to hold.
Right on.
Like,
I agree.
we've got to do better than what we're doing. But people, it's the continuous argument is, it's my money, it's my freedom to not have to do this. It's like, oh, just like with the mask wearing, it's so selfish. But
if you put it, so that's the thing, is I had that same view too. But if you kind of put it more in the perspective of, well, how do you feel about everybody having access to the fire department?
Yeah,
or look at water. Like, water is socialized.
Right.
Police, military. It's, at least as I understand it, it is. And correct me if I'm wrong, please.
I didn't know. I think you have to pay for your water, but you don't have to pay. Well, I mean, you pay taxes for your health, but you agree, hands down, wherever you go, you agree to pay the taxes for the fire department, because you agree that anybody whose house starts to burn down deserves to be able to call a fire department and have access to a big hose and people that can come put it out. Right. I don't understand why it's any different for somebody to get sick. Or I guess the perspective is, and I guess how I used to look at it is that if you got sick, it was your fault. I used to blame the person that got sick because it was you were seen as irresponsible.
Yeah. Well, you should have saved. You should have been more responsible. You should have prepared for something like this. Like, how do you prepare to, and that was the thing. Like, I had to keep working. Like, I was literally having seizures at work, not Grand Mall, multiple times a day. My buddy would find me at my desk like this, like just completely almost like comatose, or I would just be like, it's just this weird daze that would happen. And I had to do that because how else was I going to pay to cover the have the insurance and get the prescriptions I needed? I was spending a few $100s a month on my prescriptions. I was on well over 10 different medications, including like these stomach injections. It was just endless. And I got to a point where I'm like, I can't afford the mortgage, can't afford monthly expenses. Like I got fucking nothing. It was a horrible time. And had I not gotten to medical marijuana and CBD, I would still be stuck in that place. So now to me, it's, it still affects my mental health because at times I'm like, how do I climb out of the hole I got into?
Rick, did you have something you wanted to say?
The last thing I was going to say is just kind of piggyback on what you said. My mom died 3 years ago of
I'm
lung
sorry.
cancer. She had lung cancer for 10 years. $60,000 in debt because she did not choose to buy a Medicare Part B plan, plan that would help her. And everything she worked for her entire life just went away. Her house, everything. We had to sell the house for next to nothing to cover the bills, and that really cemented it for me. Whenever somebody gets a catastrophic illness, and mental health is one of those, certainly, because the body can go nowhere without the mind, right? That nobody ever should go bankrupt in the United States of America or in the world, in my opinion, because they caught a catastrophic illness. And with that, I'll just go ahead and hang up and let you guys discuss. Thanks again.
Rick, thank you for your time. What a nice guy.
Oh my God. So his mother just passed away because of struggling with lung cancer for 10 years and had to sell her house, went bankrupt, all of that. And just to show why this is reaching me so much right now is I just lost my father-in-law like 9 months ago to lung cancer. But he had Medicare, and just how painful it was to watch him go through that and not have to lose his house. And he got, he got the drugs that he needed. He got the chemo. He was, there was so much expense that came with it, but he was on Medicare, so he was okay. And I just to kind of express how horrible it is that his mother had to go through that is, this was incredibly painful to watch, even though he didn't have to struggle with money for that, and so to add that, it's like a punishment. And who deserves to be punished to want to live?
You're getting like, dude. Okay, true warning. When it was like really bad, I upped all like my insurance policies, and I'm like, I hope I die so that my partner gets money and can move on. And I always told her, I'm like, don't like it, if I get worse, you don't have to wait around for me. Leave me. You don't deserve to be stuck taking care of me. And I did say, like, I want like you to go on. Don't like sit there waiting for me. Move on with your life. And I like literally thought the best thing that could happen to her was me dying, which also would have been at that time the best thing for me because I just didn't want to be here anymore. And it was just never ending, like, costs of just trying to stay alive. And obviously that affected my mental health, but I couldn't afford to get mental health support too. So I just stuck with some antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, and just rubbed some dirt on it and kept going as I'm dozing off at my freaking desk because I couldn't take the time to truly get the help I needed. It is disturbing and disgusting that this is even allowed.
When is our brain going to be seen as part of our bodies? You know, when are we going to start, like, as a species, when are we going to start realizing that the voice in your head that's running everything matters just as much as that finger, just as much as that leg? You know, mental health, oh my God, it's not secondary. It's primary. It's the control system. You know? Oh man, I hate money.
I do too.
So we could talk about meds, the cost that goes along with meds.
Yeah, like the cost of my seizure meds without insurance. Oh my God. Like, just insanity. Even with them, it was insanity. Like, I basically lived at Walgreens because every week I'd be picking up a bunch of different prescriptions, and because I would be having side effects, I'd be even having to get on more medication. Like, the seizure medicine's making you more what's it called? Like zombie-like and down. So we got to give you something to, an upper to increase and keep you more alert. And, then you're getting anxiety from that. So you're getting on anti-anxiety meds, but then you're getting more depressed. Like, oh, sorry, I can't say which medication, but one of the medications, it took away my anxiety, but it made me more depressed. So it's just this endless circle jerk of crap that doesn't stop.
So just considering, so that's not to blame the medical professionals that were helping with this, because that's what it takes. It takes this trial and error, because everybody's different. Everybody's going to react differently to different drugs for different reasons, for different periods of time. So it's a very, very, shaky system, but it's what we've got. It's the best that we have right now. And so not to blame them for not getting it the perfect, medical cocktail right away. But the fact is that before you even get necessarily what's going to help you, the right level of this and the right level of that, and, the right frequency of those, before you even get there, you and I both spent years trying different drugs, which we still had to pay for, even though they actually made us worse, and they throw off your whatever system and routine you have in your life, because they throw your mood this way and that way, and then, oh, well, we got to get off that now, and now we got to get on this one, and you're just all over the place.
Yep.
And you still have to pay for it.
Endless. Oh man, dude, it was just such a dark time. Like, honestly, there's so many times I wish I could, like, put that person on camera just so you could see, like, the extreme, like, so down, so depressed, no energy, super anxious. I legitimately hated people. That's how, like, dark it got. Like, I cared about, I cared about more than two people, but there was two people in my life that were my primary focus. And outside that, I was like, I didn't want to be around people. I would have been caught dead on camera. I didn't want to DJ anymore. Like, I remember talking to my friend and just saying, hey, I literally hate people now. Like, it just turned me into something I wasn't, and could never get the help I truly needed. And it sucked.
Yeah.
And that's, the one thing when I was completely isolated, like, I had even deleted Facebook for a good deal of time because I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want to be around anyone. My life was going to work, coming home, and sitting in front of my iPad till I fell asleep that night. It was just nothing. And all I had each and every Sunday was Talk Heathen and AXP. I had no atheist friends. Everyone in my life was a Christian, so I had nobody I could talk to about this either. And I know my partner at the time was not happy once I became an atheist at all, because she was of the opinion that I was going to go to hell, and she was worried about my eternal, torment. But all I had was the atheist experience at Talk Heathen. That was the thing that kept me, like, every Sunday. I could not wait for it because I got to be around people that were like-minded, and it was in many ways that those two shows contributed to my life changing forever. They had a profound impact on me and led me to becoming a humanist and more compassionate human being. And I'm still in shock by this, but in 2 weeks, I'm going to get to meet Jenna and V and Eric. And like, that's wild, because when it was at its darkest, all I wanted to do was, before I died, say, I have to get to Austin, Texas, and just thank them for what they do. Like, that's all. And now I get to meet them, which is just crazy to me. Like, I almost want to go back in time and show my old self, be like, dude, look what you can do. Like, you've still got it in you. Don't give up.
Oh, we're gonna have to take a group photo or something, and you have to put it in the mirror.
Yeah. And oh wait, you can't smoke. Never mind. I was gonna say we could smoke together, but yeah. Anyways, we do have a caller.
Oh, yay!
Oh my God!
Kenneth Leonard!
Guess who it is?
The Kenneth Leonard.
So for those
of the Atheist Experience.
Hi, Kenneth Leonard from the Atheist Experience.
That's an exaggeration. Kind of accurate, kind of not. Yeah, it's about money, you guys. And like, I'll just talk about healthcare. Yeah, I don't want to just like start ranting, but
please do it.
Yeah, we're open to it.
I was thinking about how in the United States, I think that there's a problem with, in our culture, we sort of link a lack of money to like some kind of moral failure. Like if you don't have money, that it says something bad about you. And that if you do have money, well, you must just be a good person who works hard, even though those judgments have nothing to do with reality.
Oh my God, that hurts just to think about.
Yes.
Because I thought that way too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh no, I think we're losing him.
Got it?
Yeah.
And
okay.
And again, I'm trying not to make this too political, but I do constantly see this from one particular group, and it's the constant demonization of poor people. And they're just lazy. They just need to work hard. That's not how it works. Like, sure, yes, work hard plays into it, but you can't just tell them to work hard and all of a sudden they're going to have money. Like, there are countless people that slave. Like my stepdad, for instance. He came to this country. When he was 18, and he worked 2 full-time jobs, but he was a cook. And those full-time jobs usually were like 50 hours a week. He'd be working 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at one restaurant, and then 3 to 10 at another, just to get food on the table for us. We didn't even have.
I mean, if working hard and being a good person made you rich in America, then like elementary school teachers would be the highest paid people. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that.
And oh damn it, I totally lost my train of thought. I hate
having to take on 2 jobs.
And what's sad is, my entire family still, like, some of them need insurance. They need better mental health support. They're having health issues and they're financially struggling, and yet they'll still sit here and do this whole, well, it's our own fault. We should have worked harder, or we should have done this. Like, no, you need help, and the government should be able to provide that. My parents should not be in the position they're in. And unfortunately, at times it seems they're just so misguided and so stuck on this, if you're poor, you're lazy. Like, and I don't, it's almost like the right has successfully convinced the country that you're a bad person if you're poor, as you were saying, like a moral failure.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I mean, well, there's a lot of, there's sort of like an American mythology that quickly breaks down when you look at the numbers. Thomas Frank had this amazing book that came out a few years ago called Listen Liberal. And in the beginning of it, he talks about how from the end of World War II all the way up into the early 1980s, the share of like profits that went to the American people, that went to workers, the bottom 90% of earners, was around 70%. But since those Reagan years to now, any guesses what that percent is in terms of real economic growth going to the bottom 90%? Wealth growth, wage increases, stuff that actually matters?
No, I actually don't know.
It's zero. It's actually zero. So
Wow.
when you see wages don't increase, meanwhile the cost of things like healthcare and housing continue to go up. You've got the wealthiest Americans still absorbing all the profits. I mean, the idea that people are poor because they're not good people or because they're not working hard enough is really an obscene, grotesque twisting of the facts, and it doesn't help most Americans. It just makes them feel shitty about themselves when they're already working really hard.
Right. And also, the fact that like with the rich people, they'll equate being rich to hard work. Like, how many people were born with silver spoons in their ass and didn't have to work? It was just handed to them. Like, being rich doesn't mean you're a hard worker. And the idea that any of us at any point could all of a sudden just start a business and make millions of dollars is just ridiculous.
Yeah, just to kind of plug our Patreon. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's a fantasy. It really is. It's mythology. It's this thing that gets dangled in front of you to be like, all you need to do is just have that one good idea, or work those extra hours, and the American dream will just unlock to you. But that's not how it necessarily works for anyone.
Mm. And our generation, the home buying generation, is learning the hard way right now. At least if you're looking to buy a home anytime soon, Jesus Christ, the housing market has shot up, and houses have like doubled in price since COVID.
Yeah, that's actually why my former partner is wanting to she wanted to like work, like clean the house up a little bit first, but now she's like, maybe I should just sell as is.
Yeah. I mean, people are buying up and flipping and becoming renters just all over the place and building houses, and oh my God, it's insane.
Yeah.
But the property values are going up. So it's like if you thought your whole life that you were just going to be able to just grow up and just buy a house, that's a little less attainable than we were led to believe, at least where I grew up.
I mean, yeah, that's the promise of America, right? Is that if you come here, if you work hard, if you stay out of trouble, that you should be able to have a comfortable, safe, decent life for your family. I mean, that's the American dream, right? But in practice, it can be a lot harder to achieve. It's and the thing that kills me is just in the conversation about healthcare, for example. I mean, the cost of healthcare to consumers has gone up, but the actual costs of healthcare haven't gone up.
Right.
It's not like doctors are getting paid more, or the scientists who are doing the actual research and the work, but the sort of administrative class has continued to grow and build this whole industry around itself of being like, well, you can't get access to the doctors and to the medication and to the other stuff unless you go through us. And because you need this stuff, we can pretty much set the price at whatever we want. I would use the term evil.
Yeah.
I think profiting off of the desperation and misery of other human beings is evil. I don't know. Maybe I could be out in left field with that one.
So sorry, I missed that last part.
I said it may just be me, but I think profiting off the desperation and misery of your fellow human beings is evil.
Yes.
But maybe I'm weird. I don't know. I can't even grab them.
No, I mean, we're all pretty weird, but I'm pretty sure that's human. But no, I think that if there is a definition of evil, that would be a pretty good one.
And like with all things in the United States, everything comes down to a question of priority. Because, I mean, the idea that we can't afford healthcare for everybody is a fucking lie.
It's just BS, yeah.
We can afford to spend, $750 billion on defense every year. If we can afford to do that, we can afford to educate people. We can afford to get healthcare to people. We can afford to make sure that, that American dream is not an empty promise.
Yes.
That we actually can make sure that everybody in our country is taken care of. And the idea that people feel shitty about themselves if they can't get a piece of it, even while they're working as hard as they can, that's the thing that sucks, where it relates directly to mental health. Because being trapped in your circumstances and then feeling bad about yourself because you're being lied to about why you're there is a problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
By the way, Jenna, we've never figured out, like, if we ever need someone to fill in for you or I, Kenneth would be the perfect,
oh Jesus,
fill in where I need a day off.
Okay. All right.
And before I forget, real quick, so next Sunday, we do have a show. However, I am moving the day before. And I've already told my brother, the last thing we're taking down is my studio, and the first thing we're putting up is my studio. But just in case anything happens, there is a small chance that I doubt I'll have an issue. Should be fine, but just a heads up, just in case. Jenna, anything else you wanted to cover before we move on to our next caller?
Well, he actually got some wheels turning. The way that you worded one of the last things you just said about people just feeling bad about themselves and just getting into this cycle of just feeling worse because you can't afford this or whatever. And it's triggering a memory, a deja vu sort of from last night. I was on the Atheist Roundtable with Oz and Shannon Q and Dave Warnock and
that was an outstanding stream. That was
Myth
a very
Vision.
good stream. Everybody should check it out.
I agree. I think it was a great stream. There was a lot of really good information that was shared. Shannon Q is a boss on the brain. I love her.
Yeah, she's really, really upright.
And so basically what is triggering is this memory we were talking about indoctrination that way. So it's interesting that it's like money and indoctrination kind of go hand in hand. Am I right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're trained to think about things in a certain way. And the entire American relationship to money and labor, you can trace our way of thinking about stuff all the way back to Puritans. This idea is if you don't work, you don't eat. This stuff. I mean, it's still ingrained in our psychology today. I mean, we're not far enough removed from our wacky fundamentalist, crazy ass roots.
Right.
Witches and shit back in the day. We're still doing all this same crap. It's pretty frustrating how we don't learn. So yeah, our notions when it comes to thinking about scarcity, thinking about money, thinking about the ethics of work, what we value. We're still stuck in thinking about things, frankly, just like unreasonably.
Right. Well, and it's not to pick on any kind of theist of any sort, not to pick on them, but it does seem like when you get to that kind of thinking, that kind of belief system in your brain, that almost goes hand in hand with that belief that you deserve to have to work for healthcare. You deserve to have to work for anything. It almost seems like those values almost go hand in hand. So I'm just trying to, while not trying to pick on anybody, just kind of pointing out a commonality. And causation does not imply, or was it, how does it go?
Causation does not, correlation doesn't equal
correlation
causation.
does not imply causation. I'm just wondering if there's more to that.
Oh, of course there is. And I mean, even to throw one more wrench into this, I mean, how many of our friends and neighbors, if they hear someone is sick, their response is, well, God may be trying to teach them something. They don't need universal health care. They need, they need prayer. They need whatever, it's their faith isn't strong enough. That's why they're going through this, these kinds of ideas. I mean, these are barriers to progress without a doubt.
Right. It seems that the entire party.
If that offended anybody, if that offended anybody, just direct all your hate mail toward Ethan.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to throw out there about money and mental health? Because we luckily we have 2 other callers.
Oh well, I'm out of here.
Well,
no.
For those who don't know, Kenneth and Shannon Q are going to be on YFNA tomorrow with Vila Bianca. We started a new show, and tomorrow will be the pilot episode. Basically, Kenneth Leonard will be debating Shannon Q on 3 selected topics while eating progressively hotter hot wings. Yes, if you're familiar with the format, it is something Hot Ones does, except we're doing it debate atheist style, and we're going to try and make it as fun as possible. So the real question is, who's going to give up first, Kenneth or Shannon? Kenneth, do you have any new interviews coming out? For those who don't know, you can see Kenneth on youtube.com/KennyLeonard.
Highly recommended by us each personally.
The Captain America of atheism.
Well, thank you. Okay, well, it's getting weird now. But I've got a bunch of feelers out there, some stuff that may be coming up that I'm pretty excited about. In the interim, I'm still working on getting the series out about fallacies. So, yeah.
Kenneth, as always, thanks for being a contributor and friend.
Adios.
Talk to you later. I love when we have, people that want to call in and talk to us, which still really cool to me that people even want to talk to me. Like I have not gotten over that, Jenna, because I for a long time couldn't get anyone to talk to me, and now people want to talk. I'm like, really? You want to talk to me? But why?
Just I understand that more than I can express. I was very unliked growing up, so it's I've been somewhat in the spotlight for 2 years now, and I still don't get it. I'm like, wait, one day nobody wanted to talk to me, and I'm trying to really work hard to maintain friendships and relationships and stuff, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to talk to me, and I'm like, why?
It's surprising. It's unexpected. It makes you feel good, but it really does shock me so much.
I know that this isn't necessarily related, but it's interesting that you bring that up, because I was actually just talking about that the other day with a friend about how it's gotten overwhelming for me. I've pretty much stopped responding to people for the most part. Occasionally I'll check the ACA email, try to see if there's anything I'm missing or something, but it's gotten really hard to respond to anyone.
So that's actually something I've wanted to talk about. Could we do an episode on mental health and social media?
I believe that we have it on the list.
Awesome.
On our note.
Because that's one thing in the past 2 weeks I've come to realize is I cannot sit here and endlessly reply to messages anymore, because I'll wake up and I'll spend the first hour and a half of my day just replying, and it's and it sucks because sometimes people where I've got a message well, why haven't you replied yet? And I'm just seriously, I don't know why sometimes. Either way, I was gonna let you know, I think what I need to do now in order to focus more on my education is not be so focused as replying. And hopefully people don't get upset by it, because I have always been responsive, but I just can't spend hours a day just replying. I need to focus on myself, and I really need to focus on my education at this point. So I'm going to be less responsive, but just know if you are ever have if you have a mental health struggle, I always try to help people when they reach out. However, if you are truly struggling, please call a suicide helpline.
A secular therapy project, recovering from religion, because secular therapy project costs money. Recovering from religion is free. So those are 2 options.
before we get to our caller, I did have a what. Okay, so here's, and maybe the audience can help with this. What do I do? Because I've always, if someone reaches out and they're struggling, it's like, hey, cool, let me see how I can make them laugh or get them on the phone or just listen. But if someone reaches out and is in a crisis or like tries to depend on me more than they should, what do I do in that scenario? Because I want to help people, but I also, I have my own mental health struggles, and I can personally only, support so many people before it's going to affect me. So how, especially like if a stranger reaches out, how do I handle that situation?
So basically, from my experience, I've struggled with that as well, because somebody will message me like this devastating life story.
Yes.
And it's usually like the first message, and it's just it's a ramble, and I can tell that this person needs to talk, needs someone to talk to. And I get it. And oh my God, I am, and I believe Ethan is as well, such a compassionate person that just reading one of those stories can really occupy my tear ducts for a week or two. Like it will stay on my mind, and I will just try over and over again to try to figure out how I can help, how I can do this.
Yep.
How are you now? All that. And it's very draining. So I called and asked Eric what to do. And he said, well, the best thing that you can do is refer them immediately to a hotline or to a resource of some sort, like the Nightbot is putting in the chat right now, to that kind of thing. Because the fact is that if that person does get help from you, which it feels amazing to be able to help, right? You are teaching subconsciously, maybe not directly, but you are teaching that person that they can come to you for help. So if you helped last time, why wouldn't you help this time?
Right.
And so when you have somebody who is unstable in that way, then they can start being affected negatively, thinking and overanalyzing your responses, whether or not you responded this time or how long it took or whatever. And so you could actually end up hurting them more. So it's almost, what I've tried to do now is I try to, if I catch something like that, I try to refer them to Recovering from Religion because it's free. I try to refer them to Secular Therapy Project because it's secular. I try to tell them to find support groups. I try to give them just a couple things, but basically, if you want to talk to us, we basically shape our weeks around our shows. So most of us are on call-in shows of some sort or have a chat of some sort. We actually, Ethan and I need to talk about getting a Discord thing set up for everyone so that we can have another place for people to go and talk, even if we aren't available,
right.
Kind of like the ACA has, so that's something we're looking into. But the fact is that we save all of our energy for the shows. So if you have something that you'd like to share, save it for something that you feel is important and call a show. Like we have two amazing people that I just know are going to have some really good insight that we got to get to. But call the shows.
Right.
Share those stories with YouTube. Make it public, even if you take an anonymous name or, what is it called? What do you call it? When you take a fake name.
Alias?
Yeah, just come, give a fake name. Say, my name is Bob and I have a story to share. Great. So.
And we do have, if you're interested, people watching, we do have a Facebook group. The link is in the description, but it's facebook.com/groups/the Ethan. Oh crap. I don't know if it's the Ethan and, well, either way, search the Ethan and Jenna Show, and you'll find a group, with friendly, like-minded people. And one more thing I would like to say. One thing I have learned when I learned this at a young age, when people come to you and are struggling, you need to a certain extent, in my opinion, put your beliefs aside. So for instance, when a Christian had reached out to me who was struggling, I didn't try to give her the support from my views. I tried to support her in the way she needed. And I think that is something that people should try to do more often, because people need someone to talk to. And when you're in a weakened mental state, little things like pushing your beliefs on them can really negatively impact them and make them feel like they're not being heard. Validate their feelings. Make sure they know you understand, or are trying to understand what they're going through, and you are there to support them. It's not about who's right and who's wrong in that situation. It's about being a good, compassionate person, and making them feel like you're listening to them, and that was one of my contentions with a religious friend when I said, I'm sorry. When he said I could send people to him, I'm like, I don't trust you. You put your beliefs first. I won't do that.
Well, it takes time to be able to do that, because once you become an atheist, sometimes, especially if you come from the indoctrinated black and white type thinking, you can see atheism or the absence of religion as good, and then religion as bad for a long time. I think you have to spend a lot of time really trying to look back and understand why you were where you were, or why that person is where that. You have to really try to be empathetic and compassionate and try to understand. But that takes time. And so, for example, we really have gotten off topic, but for example, there's somebody in my life that's going through a hard time, and they're Catholic and are going to see a Catholic counselor. And I'm like talking to a friend who's able to help them. I'm like, well, maybe, adoration isn't harmful in the sense that it's like meditation. I actually enjoyed adoration
what's adoration?
Adoration is when they expose the Eucharist. So it's supposed to be like, you're supposed to be like really reverent and silent, and Jesus is in the tabernacle. So you're supposed to be really quiet, and you're not supposed to make any noises or talk. And so you just kind of go into the church and just sit and meditate, basically. And I always enjoyed that. I thought it would be boring, but the couple times that I did it, I was like, I really got a lot out of that. So to me, looking at it from kind of a secular standpoint, I'm like, it basically is meditation. So I'm not going to tell him, don't go to adoration. If it helps, it helps. But it's those should be two different parts of the brain. But anyway, let's get to our callers.
Great. Okay, we have got Rachel from Austin wants to talk about growing up and having to take medications and the family struggling to pay for them. Rachel, you're on with Ethan and Jenna.
Hi, Rachel.
Hey guys, how's it going today?
Good. How about yourself?
That's all right.
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. I finally had a topic that I felt I could call in and actually share about and everything. So I'm like,
great. Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
I apologize up front if I tear up or anything. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. It feels.
Oh my God, girl, me too.
But yeah. But and just to harken back really quickly, the reason people want to call you and talk to you and chat to you and all that is just a reflection on your character. You guys are both just so awesome, loving people, and open and accepting, and yeah.
Well, thank you. I do. I actively try my best to be as patient and understanding as possible. I used to say, well, I guess I can still say this. My superpower is people tend to open up to me. I think one of the phrases I hear the most is, I have no idea why I'm telling you this. I'm like, yeah, it's like, I just get around people and they start talking, and it does. It makes me feel good. But anyway, sorry. Please continue.
Yeah. Oh no, sure. Yeah. I haven't really, in the atheist circles I'm a part of, I haven't really shared a whole lot about my history. But growing up, shoot, I don't even know how old I was. Let's see, it was 12 when I had the surgery. So 3 years before that, kind of had an undiagnosed brain tumor, and missed a lot of socialization. I would skip school, sleep all day, everything. And I missed 3 crucial years growing up. But more onto the topic, once we found out that, I had a brain tumor and had to get surgerized and all that, it was an immediate apparent, like we were comfortable, but, having a out of the blue surgery, after going through all these medical, hoops, trying to figure out what it had and everything. And, I can remember, like the minute we learned about it, you could kind of feel this, immediate, after the, like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to have brain surgery. It was like, how are we gonna afford this?
That's terrifying.
I can imagine.
It was rough, but I could. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, that's actually like legitimately, like I've always been scared of surgery, but like brain and heart surgery, like oh. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, trigger warning. Sorry, if you're watching this now, we don't since it is medical issues, and she's talking about like brain and surgery. I don't know if this traumatizes you, so please be warned.
Good call, actually. But it was an immediate kind of struggle for the family and everything. I can remember, seeing my mom sit down with this like huge medical bill on the living room floor and going through it piece by piece to, make sure that we weren't overcharged for anything, and, make sure they didn't put it down any kind of superfluous crap that I didn't need or anything like that. And, being 11, 12 years old and learning that your cost the family $48,000 for medical for brain surgery, like that's rough. But even the harder thing going forward was that it was a pituitary tumor, so I don't have a pituitary gland anymore and have to take, even today I'm on 13 plus medicines, and
oh my God,
I know that it's been as high as almost 20 medicines, and one of them, I think the cash price, like if I were to pay out of pocket, is like almost $1,000 for a bottle.
Oh my God.
And
that's
and
and that's going to be forever. That's going to be the rest of your life.
Pardon?
That's going to be for the rest of your life, right? That's not temporary.
Yeah, I have to take, synthetic hormones to replace the hormones that I lost. Can't produce anymore.
Right.
And of course that all plays into, this the imposter syndrome, being transgender. It's like, was this all just a complication of surgery, or?
Oh, wow. Oh God.
Yeah, but having, the family struggle to pay for medicines, because it was like $100 a month for one of the main medicines I have to take. Like, it's one that if I don't take, I have pretty dire consequences. Not to go too in depth in it, but hearing my dad say stuff like, "Oh, I'd rather not have electricity for a month so you can have your medicine," and stuff.
That's absolutely horrible that choice even has to be made.
Oh my God. And you had great parents. It sounds like, right?
Yeah, no, they were great. They, had their problems, but they were great.
Right. So it's like, just to say that there are a lot of people who don't even have good parents, and just like, I can't imagine that either, but it sounds like you got, as terrible as that is, there's go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, no, it definitely made my relationship stronger to them, but just, since preteen, having that guilt of what I cost the family or what negative impacts I have, it's just, even today, like, I feel like I don't deserve medicine.
Oh my God.
You feel like that?
I hope you know in the other part of your brain that that's not true, right? Like, when you talk to yourself, do you
yeah, of course. But that, that doubt or whatever is still there.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I don't know. It's just a holdover from that. It's like if I fall off of medicine and I need to refill it, sometimes, there's costs involved and I can't afford it, and, have to go without it for however long. But I don't know. It's just something like that. And, hearkening back to not having like universal health care, they quote unquote first world country, if we would have had universal health care, it would have just been like, oh, time for surgery, get it done, here's some medicines. But like even after all that, like I wasn't seeing doctors for it. And once I was an adult, I went in for, checkups and all that, and we get yelled at by medical professionals, like, oh, you should have been here, you should have been doing all this stuff, and you have to take care of this, that, and the other. Like, I first of all had no clue, but then after that, it's like I could barely afford to pay rent and feed myself,
Well, how are you doing now with your money and mental health, like right now?
It's still a struggle. Definitely don't have an abundance of money to spend on it, but I lost my healthcare last year during COVID and dropped off of therapy and had to stop taking some medicine. It's kind of this cyclical issue, it's like, oh, you can't afford the medicine or whatever reason, you falter from it. It's just kind of cyclical is the best way to explain it. You drop off the medicine and then you kind of get worse, and then it's like, oh crap, I've got to do something and get back on it, and hope nothing. Sure, but
God,
right now,
thank you for being so open about all this.
And also,
of course.
Rachel, this brings up a topic we should cover, and we would need to get the appropriate people to cover it responsibly. But mental health and trans issues. Obviously, Jenna and I couldn't cover it, but I think if we get the right people, I don't know, that could be beneficial. That's for me, I just like to try to find things that are important and not being talked about. My mentality has always been when there is a problem, you take the biggest light you can find and you shine it on that problem.
Yeah.
You're in deep thought right now.
Well, because I actually came out. I am actually trans. I'm non-binary, but I don't experience any kind of gender dysmorphia. So it kind of depends if you'd want to have a show on the big umbrella of trans issues, or if you wanted to zoom in on the binary trans, which tends to come with some more dysmorphia. Oh, actually, I don't know which one has more dysmorphia, but I just don't. So we'd have to get somebody who wants to talk about that if you wanted, just depending on which topic you wanted.
Yeah. Rachel, is there...
I was going to make it...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you please, Rachel.
Oh, I was going to say, Jen, I was going to make a quick joke about, you don't have gender dysphoria. That means you're not really trans. Oh, I'm just joking, though. Anyway, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if there was anything else you wanted to touch base on before we move on to our last caller.
No, not at all. I felt this was a topic I could share and wanted to call in and have you guys talk about it and see, how it would affect other people, and for sure.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys doing the show. Thank you so much for having this platform for people to be able to call in, and mental health is huge.
Hell yeah. And hopefully, I hope getting that off your chest or talking about it with us, maybe helped you in some way.
And I'm hoping that somebody who's listening to this is somehow engaged in some kind of system that may be able to influence this to go a different way for people.
Thank you, Rachel, so much for watching the program and giving us a call.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you guys. Take care. Have a good day. Happy Sunday.
You too.
You love.
For those who don't know, Sundays is like the atheist call-in show day, because we've got Ethan and Jenna Show. Then after this, it's Talk Heathen. After that, it's not a call-in show, but the nonprofits. And after that is the Atheist Experience. But then tonight at right after the Atheist Experience, I don't know if those who remember Rick Lockhart, he will be on AVT tonight. And AVT is a call-in show with an atheist and a theist hosting together. So Rick is a Christian. So atheists, we definitely welcome atheist callers that would like to speak or ask questions and get both of our perspectives on it.
And Rick is definitely somebody that, oh my God, I adore him.
He's like the atheist approved Christian.
he's the first Christian that I think of when I think of Christians I like.
Yeah, good dude. Okay, so before we run out of time, let's go ahead and get IQ.
IQ!
Usual rant about the world. How's it going, IQ?
We had to say this for last because this is we had to, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we had to say this for last because this is always awesome. It's always epic.
Don't look at it as interrupting. We're just kind of talking, and sometimes it bleeds over. Just look at it as like a word blanket. It's okay. It's comfortable.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, that's there is a second delay. So because it's essentially coming into Call-In Studio, then routed through Google Voice, which is then routed back into the computer through StreamYard, and then has to go to Jenna and I. So at times we will talk over each other. We do our best, just because we know, like, if we talk at the same time, the audio gets a little muffled. So we try not to say anything when a person's talking.
I mean, come on. Like, how many times have you had a face-to-face, like no electronics involved whatsoever, a face-to-face, real-time conversation with somebody, and you're both still talking over each other? You throw in the internet, forget about it. I mean, it's going to happen.
Right.
It's as long as everybody's not rude about it, like, oh no, excuse me, it's my turn to talk. Like, and they just bust right in the middle of somebody's sentence. Just keep your cool. Keep it cool. That's how things get out of hand, is when you let the emotions creep in and you raise your voice.
Yeah.
And you get rude. You start getting arrogant and prideful, and that's when the conversation goes downhill. Right. But anyway,
IQ, money and mental health.
It leaves my brain. When you had your suggestion about mental health and trans issues, which I will not for a second say that is not a very critical, important thing to talk about specifically. There is a deeper category there, where mental health and identity, whether it be trans issues, whether it be teenage angst, whether it be what career you need to pick, what college you need to pick, just who are you? What do you want? What's inside of you that needs to come out? And there's a lot of struggles across the whole entire spectrum of identity issues that there's a really big conversation there about how many problems we run into in life just trying to be us.
Right.
Agreed. Hands down.
And on your move, Ethan, the surest way to encounter problems is to assume there's not going to be any problems. Problems, and be happy when they don't happen.
I am absolutely, like, that's how I'm thinking of it. I'm more than reasonably confident that there's not going to be any issues, but you just never know. So I like to prepare just in case.
The sheer fact that I'm talking to Ethan here, and I know Ethan has thought of most of the problems and has already taken care of it. So it's less likely for you to have problems because you've already thought of these problems and you've done what you can to keep them from happening. But it's the things you can't think of. The shit that bites you in the ass in life.
I actually even quickly this week grabbed another computer, not bought one. I had one and I set it up. So in the rare instance that my computer gets damaged while moving, I have a second one ready to go. Like, I put so much energy and focus onto doing these shows, and they really are everything to me.
It shows. It definitely shows, because that's anything great in this life involves passion, involves that drive, and that's when you take it and you don't just put your physical effort into it, you put your heart into it. That's anything. Like, you can be a cook or you can be a chef. What's the difference? Apart from a little bit of culinary knowledge, on what to use, food science and stuff like that, but it is passion. Anything. The best works of art are not just splats. Of course, people will pay $1 million for somebody who's just drank a freaking entire fifth of whiskey and then just sat there with a paintbrush in a metal folding chair, just flat. But that's art.
Right.
And, we've already had that conversation. We're not going down that rabbit hole. But that's what it is. Anything that has emotion and passion, if you can see that, that's where it's at. And you do that. You put passion, you put a lot of effort into everything, and it's not just how much you're working on it, it's that it means so much to you, so it's going to be a good quality product. So
well, but not only that, you're adding passion and logic.
Talk to you. People want passion. People want that sincerity, and you had that passion before you platformed yourself.
That's
but
true.
It's that platform that puts you, that rises you above the sea of just everybody else just talking, right? When you put yourself up there on that pedestal, you're putting your foot down. You're saying, I have something to say. Hear me out. And then when that gets noticed, everybody's like, all right, I'm on board. This guy's serious about what he's talking about, instead of just blurting shit out of his ass.
Yeah,
so that's why people want to talk to you. Because they see that. They see the fucking passion.
And I do. I'll be the first to admit I misspeak a lot. Like I'm not just being hard on myself, but I'm not very knowledgeable. I get stuck on I get stuck on words. I lose my train of thought. And there are times I blurt things out, and like people come to me and be like, hey, when you said this, it kind of looks like you're saying this. And so many times I'm like, oh crap. But anyways, IQ, we got to wrap up in literally like just a couple moments. So let's get to the topic. What was it you wanted to talk about?
Money. We're talking about money. The fundamental issue with money. Now, replacing goods and services with money has its benefits. It keeps people who are, they don't have very many skills or talents. And with the population of the world right now, you can't have, 8 point something, whatever, 7 point something billion different shops. The money helps that, because before money, it's like, I make shoes and you make something else that I need, and we're going to exchange. So you have a skill, you have a good, you have a service, and you exchange that. But the money kind of takes that, and this is a universal representation of trade. But in the latter, people who have skills and who have passion for something that otherwise would have been that shoemaker, and they're making shoes because they can do it. They're good at it. They like to do it. And it's something that fits them. They're forced to work at Home Depot or,
H-E-B.
The local dairy, and that causes a lot of depression, because people just need the money and they're not able to express themselves with that. And it causes a lot of problems with us chasing that happiness through money. And you're not going to find it. Listen to everybody that makes a song about this, because the song, everybody could write a stupid song, but songs are written in passion majority of the time. And when you get songs like Money Can't Buy You Love, and stuff like that, it's true. The people who win the lottery and end up dead.
Let me actually push back on
after
that
a few months.
A little bit real quick, IQ, is at face value, I get what you're saying, but I actually do think money can buy love. Because, for instance, let's say somebody let me explain. Let's say somebody has financial means, and they're surrounded by more people, and let's say one of the girls is only interested in his money. Well, they get together. Before you know it, they're together for a few years. Love could develop, even though it was started based on money.
That doesn't mean that money buys love. That means that if you have money, you have the opportunity to maybe put yourself out there more, to be able to buy people that want to love you, but that doesn't mean that money buys love.
Okay, good point.
I can steel man what you're saying ever so slightly. I'll wrap this up here in a second. I can steel man what you're saying ever so slightly by saying that if you have no money, it's really hard to enjoy love. It's really hard to maintain.
That is like an ability
but that's not what gets you there.
Right. If we were to have time to get into the psychology behind, attraction and where money fits into that, then that would definitely be interesting.
That'd be a good conversation.
Right.
So IQ, we do have to wrap up. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, we got too rambly, I think.
No, it's okay. It's a talk show. We talk.
Imagine that.
Awesome. Well, IQ, thank
All right,
you
well,
so much.
We're good. I'm gonna let you guys wrap it up. Love you guys. I'm
Love
out.
you, IQ. Talk to you again next week, probably.
What do you have going on this week?
I've got my usual Genesis morning meditations on Twitch at 10 a.m. every single weekday, Monday through Friday. So if you're trying to build the habit, or if you have no idea where to start, then you can, I'm not a meditation guide. I'm more of a meditation buddy. And so I also on Twitch on Thursdays have carrot noises. That's where I paint and chat. So I'm kind of promoting self-care and, dedicating time away from business and work and activism and everything that we have to do. And then I also have Atheistasis premiered every Wednesday at 4 p.m. on YouTube, where I'm live in the chat and then in Discord. Last week, I'm so sorry I missed it last week. I got to premiere it, but then I fell asleep. So I wasn't in the chat. I felt so bad. But anyway, I'm in the chat 99% of the time. For Atheistasis, and that's where I basically do interviews of trying to figure out what kind of world I live in now. So I'm getting all kinds of different perspectives from different people to share the new kinds of things that I'm having to learn, having just come out of religion. And then, of course, you have the Ethan and Jenna Show every week at 11 a.m.
Hell yeah. All right, so every Tuesday, we have The Perspective, which is a call-in show where we tackle paranormal and supernatural claims, belief in aliens, conspiracy theories, and even at this point, we're taking political claims as well. This Tuesday, it's at 7 p.m. and it's going to be Martin Robert and Kenneth Leonard hosting. Thursday, I have the pickup line with Hannah Vaughn, talk dating, relationships, and sex. Later today is going to be AVT, Atheist versus Theist. It's a call-in show with an atheist and a theist co-hosting together. It starts right after AXP, and that's going to be on the YFNA channel. And then tomorrow, the debut of the new show with V La Bianca. Our first two guests will be Shannon Q and Kenneth Leonard, and they will be debating 3 topics while eating progressively hotter wings. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you can, I just put a link in the chat. If you can click it and subscribe to our secondary channel, that's where we're going to be posting like extra phone calls and clips. 23 subs away from a custom channel URL. So if you can subscribe, that'd be great. Yeah. Jenna, as always, it's been a pleasure. And everyone else, thank you for watching and taking the time out of your day to spend it with us. Have a safe week.
Thanks. Love y'all.